out a net. So there's that, and then
what did I say?
What lurks behind this unassuming storefronts in Cleveland, Ohio? It's the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. Learn the history of Wicca and the tale of those who brought it to the United States. See the tools of magic, once used by practitioners of the arcane arts. It's the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic.
welcome back to the Buckland Museum, Frankenstein Radio Controls, here at the virtual Buckland Museum of Witchcraft Magic in Cleveland, Ohio. I guess where magic comes alive in the west side of Cleveland. Tonight, we're going to have a bit of an artist talk with curator Stephen Romano, curator of the latest show here at the Buckland Museum, Transmutations. We're also, we have artist Alexis Karl and an actor from her film, Hannah Fierman. Welcome, crew. It's good to have you all here.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
So a lot of people have been coming to the show. Attendance is really great right now at 6 person at a time. I just want to remind people, if you want to come to the Buckland Museum, which I really want you to, just remember, buy your tickets online, bucklandmuseum.org, because of the terrible disease that's taken over the world. I can only have limited amounts of people here at a time. So anyway, let's have Stephen here. Let's see. Yes, Stephen, take over. We'll start right here. I'm Stephen. That's Stephen as well. Let's talk a bit about the show here and how you decided to put it together.
I'm Stephen with a PH.
That's right.
And I'm
That's your introduction.
I'm pH balanced, Stephen.
Unbalanced. But yes,
I'm definitely unbalanced.
I'm Stephen Romano. What am I? I'm a private art dealer and collector of outsider art and esoteric art, and curator, which is my favorite role, to put shows together. And since I gave up my gallery in Bushwick in 2016, I've been doing pop-up shows and working with cultural institutions like loaned some work to the Met Museum here and Gagosian Gallery, and did a William Mortensen, the first solo show of William Mortensen's work outside of the United States at this thing called the Dark Mopo Festival in Tasmania. That was a couple years ago. I've loaned work to the Reina Sofia Museum in Madrid, one of the most esteemed museums in the world. And I've worked with Morbid Anatomy here in Brooklyn, done shows with them at the Fort Hamilton Gatehouse at Greenwood Cemetery, and done lectures, presentations at this annual event at Greenwood Cemetery called Nightfall. I've put on my own pop-up shows and micro spaces. We did shows. I've shown Alexis's work on several occasions in all my pop-up shows since the day I met her.
This is true.
And I've shown her at Major Art Fair as well, the Scope Art Fair, where she was a crazy great hit. What else? I just try to keep busy in the age of in these bewildering times. I do what I can. I'm doing some virtual 3D galleries online, which you're all welcome to look at romanoart.com. And one of my favorite things that I've been doing for the last couple of years now is curating exhibitions at the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. And, Stephen and I met, and my sense of our affinities was overwhelming. almost like once in a lifetime. If you're lucky, to meet someone that you just connect with right away, and you want to give and you want to perpetuate them. So the first show we did was this incredible monster hit called William Mortensen's Witches, and it was all the very well-known, of course, photographer William Mortensen, who I just happen to have the world's largest collection of his work. I'd say maybe 450 to 500 prints at this point. I've been collecting his work for about 15 years, and all the best esoteric works that we have of his that were occult related, we consolidated into a compendium and showed them at Stephen's Museum, and it was a huge hit. I mean, the publicity on this was crazy and increased my visibility, increased Stephen's visibility and the museum's visibility. And this show that we have on now is our fourth show that we've done together, that we've collaborated on. And the show is called Transmutations. And it's actually 5 artists, 4 photographers and 1 writer. The artists would be Lorena Torres from Mexico, and Destiny Turner from Ohio. We have Courtney Brooke and Nahw, who's a COVID nurse in France. And of course, Alexis Karl, who lives, I think, 3 blocks away from me in Brooklyn.
I do. I live about 3 blocks from you.
Yeah, it's true. We can see each other from our terraces, right?
We throw notes at each other.
Yeah, and then we have the writing of Kristen J. Sollee, who I'm not sure I have the name of the very well-known book. Witches, feminist sluts and witches, something to that effect. I mean, I'm sure your audience knows. Yeah, that's it. So what Kristen did was she took samples of her writing that she felt was in proper response to the actual works, which was, all modesty aside, I think that was a pretty cool thing to do. To include her. So the show in itself, at first it might appear that I'm showing witches who make art, but that's far from the case. It's actually the other way around. What I'm doing is I'm finding artists that I feel are what I call authentic artists, who use their own life experience, their ordeal, in a value neutral way. I'm using the term ordeal, just stuff that happens. And their own their own trauma, but they're processing their trauma in a way. They're channeling their trauma, their subjective experience into for whatever reason. That's their choice. How they came to that practice is really up to them to define. But to the art making process, right? They're channeling their subjective experience into the art making process. And in doing so, they're using the language and the symbols of esoterica, or, dare I say, occult, or witchcraft, but they're using those symbols and that language to articulate their vision. And in most cases, it's a very cathartic experience for them. So my aspiration in doing so is that the viewer, when they cross the threshold into the gallery and interact with the work, that they have what I call, an affirmative experience, right? That they have, if their thinking is in terms of questioning the hegemony or questioning the structures of the consumerist society that we live in, or the authoritarian society that we live in, and they're looking more towards the left-hand path, that they see these works and somehow these works are affirmations for them. So in a sense, the art becomes what I would call, or what Joseph Beuys, the artist Joseph Beuys would have called social healing devices, right? That are society in general, particularly in these bewildering times, is traumatized, and we somehow need these affirmative experiences. And to me, there's no more noble calling, or there's no more noble an aspiration for an artist to have than to want to perpetuate that experience upon their audience. So that to me is what the show is about. I let the art speak for itself. You know, I'm not a spokesman for these artists by any means. I think that because they deal in the language of esoterica, that it's universal and it's archetypal and it's there for the taking. People may put up their barriers, but I think over time, most of them come to it, right? Some of the art in the exhibition is more immediate, like Lorena's work, and some of it you have to kind of look at and let it sink in. Like Destiny's work, for instance, I think you look at it, you think about it, you come back to it, you think about the social context it was produced in. There's a term for that. Slow art, that's called. But no, it's not what it sounds like. It's not to do with someone who lacks intellectual capacity. It's more that the take on it is slower, right? More like, say, a Joseph Beuys as opposed to an Andy Warhol, which is pop art. You know, it just like pops at you, right? I'll do it again. Pops at you, right?
Very.
And it drops all of its secrets into your laps at once, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas this other art, like Destiny's or Courtney Brooke's or Alexis's, you know, to a great extent, Nahw's, and also Lorena's. You know, Lorena's work is something that I've been thinking about. At first, it kind of has that shock horror appeal. But when you have the blues, you know, and you look at these things, right, and you go, you know, maybe we see ourselves that way to an extent, right? And it becomes more of a empathetic experience, right? So, Alexis, we're very blessed to have you here.
Thank you.
And Hannah, also, my God, we're such big fans.
Hannah's disappeared. Maybe she'll pop back on here.
Hannah is searching for Wi-Fi at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe she's trying to get closer to a cell tower or something, right?
Yeah, she's driving to it. So.
I know, right?
Looking for the Wi-Fi. So, Alexis, I was wondering, can we show your video here?
I'd be honored. Absolutely. Thank you.
Is there anything that anyone needs to know before we start streaming it?
Only that, Hannah, who will be joining us, is the actor in the piece and my collaborator. And that's Hannah Fierman. She's extraordinary. And I filmed it, edited, I composed the music. So, you know, the whole work itself it's interesting that just to real quickly say right before, kind of to trail a bit of what Stephen said. I'm sorry, you want to...
Just really quick, I want to say that Stephen was just drinking iced coffee. And now I understand why he emails me at 4 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little late, man.
That's so true.
I'm just waking up.
Yeah, right. But what I was going to say, okay, was that, you know, Stephen was mentioning the cathartic aspect, and I feel that the piece itself was really constructed as, I would say, a kind of a spell in its own right, that it's ritual. It's all about ritual. And so the character is the oracle, and every single movement that she makes, dance movement, every time she's scrying into the scrying bowl, which is also one of my sculptures, the kind of sounds that you're hearing emanating from the film, you know, all of those are part of this incantation and this sort of spell weaving. So I suppose that's a good enough intro, I think.
All right, excellent. So let me see if I can find it here.
I think it's a good thing. I'm having water. See, I'm really healthy.
What year was Oracle produced?
I filmed it. Oh my God, I don't remember. I mean, I think I filmed it 2018 or 19, and then I didn't edit it for a while. So, yeah. And I premiered it. Well, it has different incarnations. So when I film, sometimes a piece, like I had a show with Stephen, and it was a different incarnation of Oracle. So then I'll rethink it, re-edit it. Sometimes I'll recompose, and then I'll reform it depending on what it really needs to happen. So I really do I really think that in a sense, because of that and the alterations that happened with Oracle, it's kind of right now. There were minute changes that altered it. So a different edit is really, to me, a different film. And not only that, it's a different spell, if I may.
All right. So we're going to begin here. So here's a bit of a low-res version of it. I think you can find more defined versions of it online, but for our purposes, this is perfect. All right. So here's Alexis.
Play it again.
Alexis.
Play it again.
I love that. We got a comment by a very dear artist, Josh Stebbins, who's I'm a fan of his. He just said he wants the music playing around me all the time, and I'm going to send it to you, Josh, so you can play it as much as you want.
Yeah, that. So you composed the music?
I did.
So I'm kind of thinking maybe later we'll play it again, but this time with like commentary by you that kind of explains what's going on through the whole thing.
Sure, absolutely.
So Anne says that was glorious. The music was perfectly balanced to the visual.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's my hope as a filmmaker. Always, I edit my films while I compose. So I literally am editing and then I'm composing, editing, composing. So I do it in tandem. And when Hannah and I were making this piece together, it was literally the two of us in the middle of nowhere it was like August in New York. So burning hot. And someone just asked, I don't know the inspiration, but yes, it was definitely like, this would make me think of a goddess hell. Yeah. But there actually was this, like, the oracle as this archetype of all of femininity. Yes, definitely like a goddess, accessing the goddess element, accessing like the divine feminine, and this power and strength, but that is achieved by harnessing the elements. And so that was the point, and also that hopefully it was timeless. And I think for me, that was really important, that you don't really access time in it. There's no signifiers, of like a street lamp or like some of my other films. It's in the middle of nowhere. And then I manipulated the footage for that piece to really look like archival footage on some of it. So you just have no idea, hopefully, when it came from, what time. It's out of time, so to speak, I think.
It definitely has that, like,
the infinite. Yeah, it's kind of like accessing the infinite through ritual.
So look, okay, there's something weird with my mic there. I think it's normal now. So Sandy says, I don't know what the inspiration was, but it made me think of the goddess hell. But Sandy, I know you very well. Everything makes you think of your favorite goddess, doesn't it? So.
No, but I think that's important, though. I love that comment. I agree. I agree, because part of it when I create a character in a film, in a way, like in this one specifically, to me, perhaps she is one thing, to someone else she is another, and that is the way of all goddesses and all of these sort of powerful female archetypes. They access certain things for certain people, and I think that I love that comment, because I feel that makes sense.
Yeah. I really adore Sandy. She's she does a lot of good work for her community, and I'm always really, really impressed by it. So Anne says, I have to run. The day is starting here in Australia, the Monday. Yeah. Tell me about it. It's you want to spend all your time wallowing in the esoteric, right? Yeah, but actually have to get up and do things. Shy of the Wise says timeless. Yes.
Thank you. That's definitely what I was going for.
Dwayne Davis says, hello everyone. Hi Dwayne. How are you? Dwayne, you haven't come and like done your thing in the museum lately. We miss you quite a bit. So let's see. Josh Stebbins says, the witchy ritual vibe combined with the feminine aspect reminds me of the final scene of the Antichrist. Yeah, when all the women are running up the hill. Loved it.
Thank you.
So it looks like Hannah is still seeking that elusive Wi-Fi. So
I know.
she makes her way here. So I have to say, you're part of the show, Alexis. What are your thoughts on some of the other art going on in this show?
Oh, that's a great question. I love it. I feel like, first of all, I love thank you for putting that up, because I really love the balance of the work together. And I've been really fangirling all the other artists. So, for me to see, all the different artists' work and how it balances with each other, from everything from subject matter to even like compositional balance, which has been really interesting to me, thematic balances, differences. You've got like elements of grotesque or elements of beauty, elements of like pure esoteric and other elements of kind of, I don't know, maybe mine has a bit of more of an airy look, in a bit on some parts of my film stills. And then the writing, which was attached to each of our works, blew me away. And so, to actually have poetry intertwined with the work for me was, and I'm such a lyric person. So for me, that was just extraordinary. So, I mean, I'm thrilled. I think I adore it. Plus, I'm really excited about having these other pieces, like the Mortensen's pieces, that for me, I feel add this other element, that gives us a really beautiful standing in history. And again, these occult thematics. So, I mean, I think it's just, I was blown away by this, honestly. I mean, I think it's one of Stephen's strongest curations. And I mean, I've been waxing eloquent about it to him all the time. I'm like, I love this show so much. Let's bring it everywhere. I just think also there's just, and I don't know how it is when you walk in, because I haven't been there. So I'm seeing it from far away, and I'm looking at all the other artists' work from far away. But what I'm hoping is that, and what I believe is happening, is that you walk in and there's such an impact because of the dialogue that the work's having with each other. And I think that as artists, we're representing many, again, I keep saying archetypes tonight, but many different archetypes within our work that I think are provocative and balanced and challenging. And in doing that, I feel like we're actually, a lot of us are rewriting the archetype of the witch in a very modern context. So I hope that that's, I'm kind of talking off the cuff, but that's what I really believe about the work and how it relates to each other. But I'm a fan of all the artists. I mean, I want a piece from each one of those artists desperately. Like, if you're listening, I will trade.
If anybody in the audience has been to the show, if anybody in the audience has been to the show, please chime in and let us know. Because to me, it's kind of designed like a cave. Like, you go in there, and it's like the great cavern of mystery. And you go in there, and you're just immersed in all these really, really incredible pieces of work. And, I mean, which brings to mind, like, the initiatory experience, right? And I have to say, it is one of Stephen's most strongly curated shows. And I've had 4 of them, and they're always all kick-ass. I didn't think anything could ever top Apparitions, our last show that we did with them, because it was such a completely amazing show. And I was like, well, the next one's going to be cool. But it was installed, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like Stephen, like, really hitting his stride. Contemporary and the vintage mixed together.
I think Stephen has I'm sorry, I'm in Brooklyn, you can hear it.
That sense of Baby Yoda good vibes to whatever is going on there in the distance, right? It's anytime you hear a siren, you want to send the
it's Brooklyn.
No? Well,
yeah, everyone needs to send good vibes to that. Yeah, please.
I have a hot my tours get interrupted all day long.
Yeah. There's someone who saw the show, Dark Arts and Craft.
Yeah, so let's see. Josh says the lush green background is great. When was it filmed?
It was filmed in an abandoned airfield in Brooklyn.
Nice.
I can't tell the exact location because it's one of my secret filming locations. But I gave you a hint. I gave a hint. Abandoned airfield.
Everyone always wants to know all the details. I'm like, this is witchcraft, baby. Let's keep it underground, right? So
mystery. It was filmed in the netherworld between here and there, the in-between.
That's right.
I have a few questions for Alexis, if you don't mind.
So, sure. First thing, though, Dark Art and Craft. Yes, excellent showing. Was very well curated. Love the interplay between the works. Thank you.
Yeah.
Josh says Stephen can curate the hell out of a show.
So true. Yeah. That is so true.
We love Josh.
I was wondering if those were sirens or the souls screaming in terror.
Well, it is Brooklyn, Josh. So, it could be both. It could be either.
So, Stephen, you had some questions for Alexis here.
Yeah, one thing that really struck me upon viewing at this time was the gestures and the movements that Hannah was engaged in. Was that choreographed or was that something that Hannah improvised?
Hannah improvised. Well, it's kind of hard to answer that. We discussed it beforehand. So there was my sculpture, which is a scrying bowl. Right. There was an understanding that was going to be a very important element. And
can you explain what that is for our viewers who may not know?
Certainly, thank you. So the scrying bowl traditionally is it's either a bowl or a mirror that has often a black surface, which you can see a reflection in. So, you can use all of these different materials for a scrying bowl. A bowl itself would have water, and then you look into the water, see your own reflection. But in accessing the concept of scrying, or the scrying, as the oracle does in my film, is you're accessing a vision of the future. So that's really the practice of the scrying bowl, divination. And so my scrying bowl is made of calabash, which is from my friend who sent me to get them for me. They're from a calabash fruit, and they harden. Their shell hardens, and so I hand burned it all, and then I attached obsidian and horns to it. And so the obsidian is also known as a truth seeker stone. So a way of another element of reflection. So that's a scrying bowl. But the gestures, as you were saying, so using the scrying bowl, Hannah, she trained in dance. So, I knew she could access certain movements and elements within her dance that would explain a sort of spell weaving. And so that was part of it, but it was our spell weaving. So, the concept was really how do you explore that character of the oracle? And so if you're lifting your hands up, or if you're putting your arm like this, understand that that's saying something, that perhaps the elbow up and the foot down is accessing the earth. Whereas if you're lifting up, you're accessing and calling forth the winds. So, we're really trying to think about movement in such a particular way. So to answer that, it's choreographed and non-choreographed at the same time. Letting the nature move through it. Often, the wind would just start out of nowhere and shiver the trees, and she would react to it. Or something would happen on the ground and she would react to it. So I think of that moment when she was performing, and we only did one take. We didn't want to, it was a ritual. So I was like, I don't want to keep doing take one, take two, take three. I just want to roll and roll and roll. So it just kept it moving and changing. So I think her choreography became the choreography of the earth more than a dancer's choreography. and I've worked with dancers, so I know that there's quite a difference when you're working with like very choreographed dance, which a lot of my performances are with my dancers or other films I've done. But this was really much more about accessing the world around her.
Absolutely beautiful. You can really feel the divination from the power of the earth flowing through the flowing through the actor. I guess you might say, but she wasn't an actor in this case, right?
Yeah, and it's
is that this was an immediacy. This is something that this was real. Like she was actually channeling that energy and manifesting that energy through her movements, which in itself is the blessing, correct?
Yeah, and that's also something that Hannah, as this exquisite performer, can do. So this is where it changes, right? This is where I'm not actually filming someone who's practicing, or this oracle work, this scrying. I'm filming an actor accessing that part of herself. So, I think that it is there's a very fine line between the ritualism, the natural ritual that happens when you're performing, right? When you're like, as an artist, when you're conjuring things forth, or when it's actually when you've accessed it and it's there. And Hannah blurs the line. That's why she's such an incredible actor, is that she blurs the line and you don't know. Like, I don't know if what she did that day.
Right.
And that's for me artistic ritual, artistic magic.
And then just one other thing, I wanted to ask you about the garment. You made the garment also?
I did. I know how to make one dress. I really don't know how to make
one more than I know how to make.
I swear. And not only that, my husband's the one who came up with the original design for me for something. And then I just took over and started making them a little longer, a little bigger. So I had actually worn part of that dress in another film that was a music video called Witch that my old band did. And I know Stephen knows that one. Then I reconstructed the dress and added it. So, are we conjuring Hannah back? Hannah, are you there? We see this. We see a cloudy vision.
The spirit world shall she emerge.
She's in the in between. I'm telling you, in Sanskrit, you're back. Yay! I was just talking about how amazing you are. So
sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, we've been talking about how amazing you are the whole time.
I'm literally talking about how when you perform, you blur the line between performance and actual ritual, and you never quite know what's actually happening. Like, I don't know what part of her is real and what part of her is the character. She just is all of it. There you go. That's cool. My thought on this. I love that the answer. Cool. We had the best time filming that, though. I think you poured the flame water over yourself at one point.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah.
Just dump it right on my head. We did that that was the last take, I think.
You just.
So now we have her back.
How did you like when we did that film, how was it for you? Like, what did you, I'm just curious because I've never asked you these things.
I just like to make art with you guys. So I'm just like, I'm game for whatever. Let's do this thing. I don't really remember. I remember thinking it was pretty surreal out there. And do you remember huffing on the lens and it slowly dissipated?
Yeah,
that was pretty great. That was kind of genius.
This was before I had my film camera. So I filmed that on an iPhone because I didn't have a film camera yet. Now I have a proper film camera, but I didn't. But I had a really cool extra. I had a wide angle, so we were using a wide angle, and then I wanted to get the steamy look, but there was no mist, so I just breathed on the lens, and then I kept breathing it. So Hannah saw this projection of my mouth going going that way. And then meanwhile, the result was this beautiful releasing of steam off the lens to make it look like mist. So that was just something we just did right there. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it looked really cool. And we also saw this huge white rabbit. Like, no, it wasn't white.
It was white and black.
And white. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just was just hopping around free. Yeah, we tried to take it home.
We did, but it didn't want to. It appeared out of nowhere. So we conjured a rabbit. And there was a hawk, too.
Conjured a rabbit.
Yeah, there was a hawk and a rabbit. Yeah, and it was just the two of us.
So,
it was a really cool location.
What are your thoughts about us going through the film again, but this time with you two's mics unmuted? And perhaps you could talk about what's going on at the time.
Okay.
What do you think? Okay, so there was a note saying that you have to unmute yourselves. So
okay.
As we do it, you guys...
Let's try that again.
All right. So
my cat's there waiting for...
Okay, I think I'm unmuted.
I'm unmuted, yeah. So for me, this was when I was actually breathing on the lens and causing that mist.
Just breathing.
Just breathing. And then I remember we were talking about breathe, like just follow the wind. So your breath was following the wind. I do remember that.
I think you were guiding me.
Yeah.
Verbally.
Because I knew,
well.
I knew there was no, I knew there was no vocals in this. So it was like lift it slowly towards the earth.
Dump it on your head.
Throw it over your head. But there's such an intensity.
Mountains in the background.
Yeah, that's the airfield, actually. All overgrown and wild. Do you remember what you were incanting? What were you saying?
I do not.
I don't think I ever knew, which is something I love. I had no idea what you were saying because you were saying it quietly. This is where I was really excited because Hannah's a great dancer. You're a beautiful dancer. And so, this is what I was talking to the gentleman before, is that your movements were very specific. It was all about conjuring. It was pulling the earth.
Yeah. The long leggy arms really work for this.
That's true. That and like a weird lens that I used seemed to elongate you.
It's really cool.
This was where I knew it was going to get really dark. I think that there was parts of this that we had very much decided it's going to get a little darker here, like in the timber. What you're going to find not be so great that you're scrying, that you're looking for within the character. So, I think there was a lot.
I remember a bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah, especially here. I do remember this, and the light shifted greatly too, which is in part why I manipulated the footage. I kind of took advantage of it. This part was probably my favorite part.
Yeah.
This part here. Oh, the scream. And then I came super close so that it would distort you a little bit. So those are like those things that happen. And you don't really know. I didn't know it was necessarily going to happen. It just happened. And so for me, it wasn't really until I started doing the music and editing that I saw this again, that I understood what was happening in the film.
I love your edit.
I love your performance.
Thank you.
It's true. This is, to me, this is one of the most powerful aspects. You finally see what's in the scrying bowl. So this is the bowl again of divination. You are the oracle, and then you look up and you finally look at the camera and you recognize me as something else. I'm the vision all of a sudden. In a sense, I kind of, with the edit, I wanted it to look like I almost flew out of the bowl. You know, I was now the viewpoint, you know, it's like, or I guess the audience's viewpoint is that, you know, you flew out of the bowl and now you're recognizing this, almost like a spirit.
Yeah. That's neat.
Yeah. And yes, someone was asking, it's an abandoned airfield in Brooklyn.
Yeah, that was, that's intense. So I have to ask you, Hannah, do you remember what you saw?
In the bowl?
I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see anything, or was it all?
I think actually we discussed it, but I've forgotten what it was. I think it was like a bird that was flying out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
or
actually,
like a spirit of a bird.
And we would see like so what you couldn't see in the film, and that I couldn't catch in the film, but there were birds flying by the whole time. You know, there were these birds just randomly just. Mm-hmm. You know, and then it was getting dark, so there was bats too. So you know, there were shadows like moving around. So I think that was definitely part of it. Is like what's flying out.
Yeah.
Winged creatures. What did Josh say? Trump losing the election. No, if she saw Trump losing the election, she wouldn't have. She would have been like, oh, jumping for joy with like balloons.
That's cute.
Yeah. So Josh Stone says, "Damn, I love this. Seriously, great work, both of you. Inspiring and brilliant." Aww. So how did
you comment about VHS? You can just go up 3 comments.
Oh, yep. We covered that before. It was waiting for Hannah to mouth the words "I love you" like in VHS. Best scene of the whole movie.
I like you. Did you hear me?
No.
Oh, they're gonna make you do it all night if you start. You have to say it again.
No, I missed that completely.
So let's move forward to where was this filmed?
You want
an
me to
abandoned airfield. Let's see. Josh says, knowing it was in an abandoned airfield overgrown airfield makes this haunting. Yeah.
Also, this is a place where you have to understand this is New York City. Everything's in New York City. And, you know, it's so crowded and there's so much going on. And there's so much traffic and sound and air, just everything. This abandoned airfield, there's nobody there. I mean, we were there for hours, not one person walked by. So, you know, when I say abandoned, I mean, I really mean abandoned. There's secret places all over New York that are overgrown and wild and untamable in a way. And this is one of those. So, yeah.
I have a backyard in Crown Heights that was just like the hanging gardens. It was just blocked off, and you would go in there and you'd feel like you were in some, I don't know, Indiana Jones movie set. Like in the middle of nowhere. Tarantulas, no tarantulas, but. So, let me scroll down a bit because Josh actually had a technical question. Yeah, Josh had just mentioned something about the scrying mirror. Oh, here we go. I think I've noticed that you, Alexis, I believe you often have crystals hanging over the scrying bowls in your arrangements. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, I do that. I often have pendulums hanging, like a pendulum hanging over the scrying bowl or over other ritualistic objects that I've created. They're sculptures. A lot of it is that for me, it's in a general, when you have a pendulum, your pendulum is supposed to move one way or another depending on, you know, if you're asking it, I don't know, black or white, right? And it kind of goes towards one or more, right? And it's like maybe it moves a little more towards black or moves a little towards white. And then depending on where the direction of which it's really hit, like if you asked it a question, that's your answer. It's also, again, part of divination. But often for me, I like to put my pendulums over objects where they will always be in the in-between. They'll never quite give you an answer. So that's just my own. So yes, I do that all the time.
Keep it a bit ambiguous.
Cool.
So I have to love that. I love all your 3D work that you do. And I think we missed an opportunity. I think we should have had that scramble on display here during this show. So I'm just going to ask you some other time, please.
No problem.
Put it on display.
I'd be happy.
It was really beautiful. Yeah.
So, Hannah, we have to wonder, how did you, are you interested in this sort of thing, or are you just a gigging actress and you found something interesting and you wanted to partake?
The latter. I'm just an actor, but I do think it's beautiful, and I do appreciate it. I make a lot of spooky movies.
Yes.
And
you're kind of like an underground.
Yeah, I guess something about. I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying that you're a bit of a film star in like the as far as I could tell, like kind of the underground horror cinema. So do you kind of consider what you were doing part of that, or was it something else?
Yes, but a way classier, more artistic version. Yes, a little.
Well, also I think it's, we approached this as an art piece, always knowing that Oracle was going to be something to be shown in a gallery. So it was very much part of the art, like the music that I composed, the exhibition. So it was very much understood, like this is an art piece, this piece, it was very much directed for that. So I think, and also, I think it was like, how would you explain? I mean, Hannah and I do a lot of collaboration. So it's like, it's friends, it's two artists collaborating. So I think it's like a little bit of a different, it's a different aspect than being like, okay, I'm going to have this film and I'm going to hire you to do this. Like, I have a script, I have this, it's very much like, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? And it's like a way that we get to hang out and do something together and explore, and then Hannah is so readily able to kind of get into my world within my interest in the occult and my interest in that.
Yeah, she's your collaborator.
She's 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also like a big muse.
I was about to say that.
She's such
and
I was about to say that, but I bit my tongue. I shouldn't have. I was going to say that she was your muse. Exactly. That's how I felt.
Yeah, you can't make a movie like Oracle without some muse-like qualities like pouring through. Leah Nicole says, Miss Hannah, I just want you to know I absolutely adore you, and getting to see you speak is so exciting. My copy of Siren is prized possession of mine. Aw.
Nicole is the one I was telling you about. She's a big fan of yours. And
really?
Thrilled, yeah. She's thrilled to be interacting. So say hi.
Hi.
There you go.
That's so lovely.
Yeah,
I am. The internet is. I mean, my cell is bad. Oh, that's really sweet. Yes. Well, you should mail it to me, and I'll sign it for you.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. You never sign my stuff. Hey. If anyone has not seen Siren, you should see it. It's totally extraordinary. Hannah's amazing. It's like spellbinding, literally. She's like.
And Leah says, would you really, and I have to say that when I put it out there, nobody can do it. Shia the Wise says, not yes or no, but maybe. And I think Shia has you pegged there. Alexis. It's definitely like that another liminal space that you're exploring with all of this. And
that is wise. Actually, I really do agree. I always talk about this concept of the in-between. And like in Sanskrit, it's the in Raja. And it's something that I really, really am fascinated by in a filmic aspect, but also in a sonic aspect. So I play a lot with those, like the in-between sounds. I'm a trained opera singer originally, so yeah. So exactly, that was beautiful. I sing just like that with my hands up. Like,
how about a number?
No, all right. You can listen to my album if anyone wants it. It's free, but I love that in between place. Of all of this in writing and again, like why I love Hannah so much is, besides being a good friend, is like also her acting hits that spot too. It's never obvious. It is, and it's always subtle. There's always these intonations that are so subtle and so, hidden. And that's the beauty. That's like why it's so exciting. So yeah. Oh, and the pendulum. Okay. Yes, the pendulum. I see Shai is like, no, the pendulum. Yes, the pendulum, the in between. It's never yes, never no. It's always right there. But that reflects all those concepts, of the larger concepts of film and sound, movement. It's all about that, finding that in that gray space.
So, do the two of you have have anything coming up soon? Have you worked on anything since the pandemic started?
Well, I have a larger film that I'm trying to put together actually with Hannah. As I don't want to give too much away, but as a priestess character, and which is so. But we got stopped because of the pandemic, so it entails quite a lot of dancers. It entails dancers, an alien birth, and but it's quite serious. Like it's not, it's a very serious piece, and it's very art house and experimental, which is what I've been really doing a lot of lately. And it's based off my piece Metamorph, which is now in festivals, and so it's like it kind of bounces off from that. So, but it's a much, much larger, very that dark space. And Hannah is I want to use vocals this time. So Hannah's like a great actor. So I want her voice. So it's going to kind of expand these characters. That's something that I'm working on at the moment.
Oh, very cool.
Hannah is working on 100 things. She's a director too, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe one day she'll direct me in something. Oh wait, I'm not an actor, so probably not. But So
Hannah,
where are you, Hannah? Are you in LA? Are you in New York? Hannah?
Oh,
I'm in Atlanta. Yeah.
Oh, Atlanta. Oh, very cool. So what about you,
Did
Stephen?
I get stuck
Where
again?
are you? What's it? Let's see here. So, I think in Atlanta maybe they need to work on some of their
I'm in a lag again.
Wi-Fi connections here because I think you're cut off here. But Josh Stebbins says very cool, like Kenneth Anger. Oh yeah, who we are a fan of. And Leah Nicole says Hannah can do it all, and we have to agree. So,
it's
Hannah,
all right. Well,
you're in Atlanta these days. Okay. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with the virtual version of the Buckland.
Hi, Hannah.
I think I'm on a lag. Thank you.
She's gonna try to sign off and sign on again. She's unfortunately got a lag. But Hannah is a great director. She's directing films right now. She's producing, and she also is a great singer. So she's an artist. So she's a very, very multi-talented. So I was saying that Hannah and I collaborate. Like we really collaborate on many levels. So yeah, it's quite exciting to when we work together, and we're just really close. So it's just always great excuses to be able to work together.
So, Stephen, what do you got coming up? Anything exciting?
Absolutely nothing.
You were literally looking up to the ether.
Working on a new Mortensen book with a publisher in France. It's going to be
cool.
the definitive quintessential book on William Mortensen. We have some amazing writers. Probably 75 to 80% of the book is going to be works that have never been published, never been seen. It's going to absolutely present William Mortensen in a completely unexpected light. The breadth of his oeuvre will be astounding, and we hope that with this publication, he'll finally get the institutional recognition that he's so undeservedly has been shut out of since the 1920s, really. So that's a big thing. And,
for years, this institution has been as the kids say, stan for Mortensen. So I gotta say the rest of them can catch up. I'm sure that's great. But here at the Buckland Museum, we are a Mortensen household. That's what we're into here. So good. I'm very excited to hear about this, Stephen.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be in research and development mode for our next show at the Buckland Museum once we have the timetable set up. I have something very unexpected up my sleeve.
What? Oh, I don't know about this. I never hear anything, so I'm like the last to know everything.
Well, Stephen doesn't even know about this.
What?
It'll be earth-shattering.
Yep.
I want to hear.
It'll be an exhibition of international stature. People won't effing believe their eyes when they see it. So that's forthcoming. We should announce. Transmutations has been extended. Correct? We should announce that.
Oh yeah. So currently, Transmutations, Witches, Oracles, Healers, the great show that we're talking about right now, we just signed the contract saying that it has been extended until the end of May. Yeah.
In blood.
In case you didn't catch that, the show is extended through the end of May now. It's going to close.
That's amazing. I'm so
living
happy.
in an extra month due to popular demand. And
thank you.
I got to say, of all the shows I've done probably in the last 3-4 years, this one has gotten some solid, serious critical acclaim.
Yeah.
Yeah, people love it.
Yeah, the article that Alfred wrote in White Hot Contemporary was
incredible.
I think out of anything anyone's ever written about anything I've ever done, and I've been doing this for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
He nailed it and went above and beyond any expectations. So as of today on transmutations.net, you'll find the catalog. I finished the catalog and put it up. And I included Albert's essay in there and Kristen Sollee's quotes and matched them up with the artists and put all the vernacular pieces with all the credit information. It's a first draft. I might make a few little tiny corrections, but it's actually quite beautiful. The people that have seen it have thought very good. And I'm also going to make a 3D virtual gallery, not of this show, but of the continuation of the show. And one last thing, we're going to bring the show to New York once it's finished in Cleveland. We have yet to actually finalize on a venue, and it's going to be a slightly different version. Most of the artists that are in the show are going to continue, but I have some additions as well and some other vernacular work that I'm going to include in it as well. So we're looking forward to that. Probably in the fall, we're going to be doing that. I didn't
know about that. I'm so happy.
That sounds great. But you want to say, I saw this in its original version in Cleveland, Ohio. The nitty-gritty Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah. It's going to be a little bit different than the one in Cleveland.
And Peru.
Yeah.
The Crips. And the original version of Transmutations. I mean, New York City, you guys have your things, but here in Cleveland, this is where it comes forth from.
That's so wonderful. It's true. It's really, really. I just want to say, as an artist, working within this kind of work, this esoteric, I could call aspects of occult, and it's not often easy to find not just a venue, but to find people who will herald the work, who will champion it, and I think that's why so many artists end up feeling really set aside or misunderstood or marginalized. And I want to really, if I can take this opportunity, to thank both of you for being so incredibly gracious to this kind of work, to also champion work of women. And this is not normal for the art world. And I've been in the New York City art world for a long time. And, I've always felt aspects of being, I could slide in on pieces here and there, but there was definitely an outsider feel, even though I'm not an outsider artist myself. So, I'm an educated artist in art school, but, it's just a rare thing, to have people that are there to like the two of you to champion this work. And I just want to thank you, because please understand that what you're doing is incredible service to the artists, but also to this whole genre, and the meaning of which starts to become unveiled as the shows start to unveil. And it's like, this is, we were talking before, the in-between, this is the in-between, it's like going through and looking through and it's a slow art. It's a slow burn. It isn't flashy. It's like, it's showing and it's revealing. So I think I can probably speak for most of the artists in the show that there's a real slow revealing of their work, of their characters, of the elements they're working with. It's delicate, sensitive work. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And on that note, the most important aspect of this, although dealing with the esoteric art and the art that raises the consciousness and opens the third eye and all that, to me, the most rewarding aspect is to be able to perpetuate art for women artists who have, if I live to be 1,000 years old, I'll never really understand why, right? But it's so difficult. That glass ceiling is still there, right? Yes. And Agnes Gunn, who's I think she's the chairman of the board at the Museum of Modern Art, she wrote a piece for the Huffington Post, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. And in it, she articulated something that I thought was, should be self-evident, that it's up to the curators to take it upon themselves to make part of their agenda, a big part of their agenda, be to perpetuate the artists who are marginalized, particularly women artists, right? And it has its own reward. It's like before, we would curate art that seemed to come out of the academic continuum and out of the patriarch, let's say, right? And since it's become second nature to me, in this instance, to be more inclusive of women artists, the art is just more real. It's more nurturing. There's more of a connectedness to the work. And that in itself perpetuates the object of the exercise of enhancing one's quality of life through art and having that interaction with art that again, what I was talking about before, about how it being affirmative of, something more metaphysical, something more nurturing, more metaphysical, something that contributes to the spirit of humanity instead of something that's, I don't know, based on greed or, what have you, right? But so to me, these concepts that, I'm trying to draw out in the show, I don't need to speak of them. They become self-evident once you interact with the work. Am I right?
I think so too.
Or am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I really feel like I absolutely agree with you. I'm speechless.
Stephen would know more about that because he's seen firsthand what people's interactions with the art is and what the exhibition is. And, it's got a perfect home there. This kind of show has a perfect home there because the Buckland Museum isn't one of those, sterile white wall cubes, right?
No.
It's more like a curio shop, like my place, right? It's more like a curio shop where people can see and they can interact with the work on a very human level.
Yeah.
You can interact with the sensibilities and see the affinities between one thing and the next. And there isn't that velvet rope between the viewer and the object. It's almost like it's more tangible to them because of the context it's placed in. And there's a lack of preciousness. The objects haven't been, for lack of a better term, but maybe this is the best term, the objects haven't been museumified, right? They're not presented in a museumological context. They're presented in, here it is, and you can interact with the inherent power of the object if you so choose, right? It's wide open for you.
Yeah, that's the thing is, so what we have is a big room with a bunch of stuff crammed in there. And all their energies get together and they twist and turn, vibrate. I wouldn't want it any other way.
Which enhances the possibility of discovery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, every single square inch of this place is covered with something interesting. Some kind of link to, the occult. Like something that's just designed to like have people's third eye open just a little bit. And it's just fun. People come in, and I always laugh because I have so many of our guests that come in, and they're just like, oh, it's a lot smaller than I thought. And then I have to kick them out after an hour and a half because I'm like,
yeah, that's it. I thought, yet you can't throw them away, right? It's like going through it's like going through a portal, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, time means nothing while people are in here. And, you do have people that come in.
There. They're in the here and now, right?
Yeah.
Time stops, they're in the here and now. It's an immediacy. That interaction with the work, you become in the present. And that is real, right?
I mean,
That's real.
some people come in, they can't get out. They want to take a selfie, then they split, buy a T-shirt, go tell their friends that they saw a witch museum. But 99% of our guests come in here and they get really, really immersed into what we can share with everyone. And I have to say, as the director of the place, I get really moved when I see kind of like their head shift. Because here in Cleveland, we have the Cleveland Museum of Art, which is massive. And it's one of the greatest museums of all time.
Wow.
It's a giant building. It's got so much depth, etc. And I think people think that maybe the Witch Museum might be maybe a quarter that size, but we're maybe like 1/1000th in the end. But people come in here and they start interacting with the stuff, and I can just kind of see that whole headspace change, where then they understand that this is something that doesn't exist. I mean, this doesn't even belong on this planet. It's like, this is something. There's a reason why the fundamentalists get so nervous about our existence. There's a whole reason why they leave me notes, because they realize that this is the kind of thing that plants seeds in people's brains, and it's extremely dangerous. And I probably have said too much, honestly, and I'm just going to tone this down a little bit.
But Stephen,
people are terrifying.
But this is also,
don't you love this guy?
Oh my gosh, yes. But this is also a place.
Don't you want to just hug him?
Yes, of course. But when you have art like this showing in your place, you're also accessing history. So, you're accessing ages and ages upon ages of practice, of of cult practice, of esoteric practice, of spiritualistic practice, mystical practice. And so therefore you're taking it, you're letting people see this long line of, shamanic practice that is essential to our development as human beings on this planet.
Continued development too.
Continued development.
A
And,
spiritual evolution.
I was just looking at Herzog's Cave of Forgotten Dreams,
Oh, yeah.
artwork 32,000 years old. And, the shamanic practices, the ritualistic practices that, your museum is opening the doors to. And so that's why people will come in and they're going to spend an hour and a half there or longer until you kick them out, because there's an essential element of humanity that is resonating through these artworks. And then Stephen, and then Stephen Romano, Morningstar, what you're doing is you're accessing the contemporary elements of that, and you're letting that vibrate and resonate through history. And I think that, together you are such a crazy, incredible duo, because you're offering that, So, of course people are going to be there for a long amount of time. They should be.
Because we are two wild and crazy guys.
Yeah, it's, I have to say that, I spent a lot of time trying to make it better, but in the end, I could just let it go, and people would still have a wonderful time here. It's really, really, really important to share. It means the world to be able to do it, and I have to say, it means the world to be able to share work like yours, Alexis's, and things that you provide, Stephen, because you got to keep it fresh, right? It's and I think it's cool that this stuff's all part of a lineage that obviously goes on forever. So
there's some really good questions that just arose.
So let's see here. Rosa says, "What is the movie doco, please?"
I think that was probably the one I just mentioned. The documentary is The Cave of Forgotten Dreams.
That thing's awesome.
By Werner Herzog. And it's available. You can actually go online, and there's I can't remember, it's a document site that streams it for free. So it's extraordinary. Please watch it. Everyone should watch it.
So Rose Dragonwolf says, "Hi from Tasmania, Australia."
Danielle Grassman is here. It's Danielle Goncalves, who is in the Apparition show.
Hi, Danielle. Oh, my gosh. I'm a fan of Danielle's.
Great.
Oh, yeah. I'm a huge fan. We've been in a bunch of shows together.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
The Twin Peaks show and the opening of the Third Eye.
Third Eye show. Yeah.
And that Halloween show that I did too. Huh?
I made a soundtrack for that one, opening of the Third Eye.
Let's see. Kembra Fowler is another female artist pushing for more feminine works in ABC Park and the public at large. Tend to be frightened of esoteric and or feminine work, and they really are missing out. I mean, what is art if it's not esoteric in the end, right? It's what's the point?
It's a commodity.
What's the point though?
Yeah.
Just go to Art Basel, Miami. And you'll see one booth after the next of art
thing. Yeah.
modification. It's like
I'm too busy for that.
Yeah, me too.
See here. Do you think that solidified Christianity in America has frightened people from this work, but yet they are super interested in it? So I think I have a really good take on that myself, because I'm kind of in the front lines here in Ohio. I have fundamentalist stalkers, but that they're dying to come in here and see what we have going on. It's just, it's the allure of the forbidden, right? And I have guests in here. They're really wonderful, and they're adorned in their crosses. You can tell that they didn't tell their mom that they were coming here. And they're peeking around. They're a little freaked out. I love them all. It's
it's really, at the end of the day, it's sharing the art. It's sharing the work and other people's visions. And I think, however people respond to it, your work's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Certainly mine isn't. And, I've absolutely had that experience where people are like, why are you working with human skulls. I'm like, why not?
Blowing crystals out of them.
Why not? Yeah. Or, you know, why would you film this? Why is it interesting to you? I'm like, how it's interesting to me, you know? And I think that that's, no matter what religion, I mean, that's again, like if you access, I think that the work that you're showing that I've seen it, you know, the last like year of exhibitions, you know, that I've seen, and the ones that Stephen has curated, they are able to be accessed by people, not just of a certain ilk, not just those of us who are like, you know, I'm a little more gothy, a little more on the side of the occult. That's a little more what I'm involved with, but also with, you know, my friends who are absolutely not, you know, who, you know, I think that there's, again, there's I keep saying the word resonance or vibration, but there's a human resonance to all of it. And I think that's about time, you know, and about vision.
So, Alexis, I do want to point out that I would like to have a sky burial. I would like to be picked apart by vultures. But more than anything, afterwards, I would like to have I want my skull to have crystals grown in it.
No worries.
To your design. So,
you have to tweak your skull to me. Legally.
Well, there's all this like loopholes or like problems that you have to go through. But in the end, I do want a amethyst adorned skull, this one right here, and I want Stephen to be able to show it to the world. So
is that weird that I've been there, done that? Right.
Yeah, right.
I have an amethyst encrusted human skull.
You got it, brother.
No worries.
Here in the land of dirt, meth labs, and Bible thumping, Oklahoma. Oklahoma. You might be burned at the stake. I think they're firing up my stake right about now.
I keep telling Josh he needs to just move to New York City, but he's not listening to me.
He's got a room at my place anytime.
He's got to move to New York City.
Let's see. Shia says, get in line. I mean, some of the things that these people say to me, these fundamentalists, I'm just like aghast. You know, I'm the person sharing witchcraft to the masses, and I would never even think this sort of thing. I find it completely. Anyway, we should try to move on that. So it's I have to say that tonight is my 12th anniversary of my beautiful, incredible, wonderful life partner, Jillian. So I actually we have something planned here pretty soon. So I think we have to wrap it up pretty quickly. Stephen,
I just wanted to hold up one of Josh's drawings so people could see it. This was in the Twin Peaks show. This is called The Magician.
That's so good.
It's so great, eh?
Josh.
To see these in the flesh.
Josh making me mad. I love it.
There's so much more subtlety to them. But I want to give a shout out to
incredible.
I want to give a shout out to one of my favorite people on the face of the planet, Josh.
Yes, me too. Josh, move to New York City.
We're big fans of your work, Josh. So
happy anniversary, Stephen and Jill.
Thank you.
Anniversary. Enjoy.
Yeah, it's
how many years do you and Ken together?
You know? So we've been married for 12 years. We got married in New Orleans. We were living in New York. We were in Crown Heights, and we went to New Orleans for our wedding, and then we moved there 7 months later. Or was it the next year? Anyway, I don't miss New York, but
I do.
I don't know. I'm excited to be there in a couple of weeks to drop off apparitions, actually. So
I'm gonna go to Greenwood Cemetery this time.
Wait.
Yeah, good. Let's all get together.
Okay,
together.
let me know. I'll go.
Yeah, that sounds like a good party.
Greenwood Cemetery date.
Yeah, I love Greenwood Cemetery. I like hanging.
Daniel and Josh too. So,
all right. Well, Alexis,
This was
Stephen?
the best. This was absolutely the best.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm
Wow,
sorry that
it was great.
Hannah wrote me that the internet just went down, but she said she had such a wonderful time and she was so happy to be on when she could.
Awesome.
The internet was invented for tonight. So good.
Yeah. So I usually have all these things prepped, like, hey, look out for this, look out for that. So
Anniversary, brother.
I'm just going to say to everybody out there in web streaming land that's watching this, thanks for tuning in. We have some things lined up here at the Buckland, but I don't really feel like talking about it. I feel like going and enjoying my anniversary. So, everybody out there in Buckland Frankenstein Radio Controls land, I just want to say to you, thank you very much for tuning in. I don't know what Jerry Springer say. Stay good to yourselves and each other. But most importantly, what I have to add is stay witchy, my friends. All right. Alexis, Stephen, always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Robert says, happy anniversary. Thank you, Robert. And Rose Dragonwolf says, thank you.
Aww.
Thank you. Shia the Wise says, nice to meet you, all of you. It was nice to meet you, Shia. All right. Boom.